Good evening. Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm about to give a really unpopular opinion, and I'm sure it's going to be especially unpopular amongst women.
I'm Gray Mars.
Break a record by being with 100 men in one day. And right after she was done, she recorded a documentary.
I'm a vegan weed. Call yourself fresh and wear the same weak ass turtleneck on every show. Goddamn. Then we got goddamn the Sudanese Sambo. Bruh, man.
And I'm Enzo.
Bringing up in my lives is they're like, oh well, he's violating the Constitution by having a meme coin and him making money off it in office and everything like that. I was like, if that was the case, like there would be lawsuits up the ass and impeachment in court.
I'm skeptic. Like I always say, don't let anybody trample on your constitutional rights.
I'm Mia. That's not a correct power dynamic in my mind. Typically, the people that are trying to be removed are not in control. That's why they're easily being removed.
The government, states, they start putting these RICO acts on Diddy, all of these guys, and try to put it on these ongoing criminal organizations. I ain't never seen the government put a RICO act on the KKK.
Switch happened. Come on, man. You got to acknowledge this. This is the problem that I have with elders like you, because you fail to acknowledge that this stuff has happened.
If we sit there and be old school, we gonna miss the boat. You know, a lot of this kids 19 years old buying houses with Bitcoin, buying Maserati.
Wow.
I think when it comes to the woman, if a man takes charge and he shows that he's logical,
same people. That's the number two. That's all theater. This is WWF.
We have breaking news out of Washington, D.C. Washington's Union Station, a popular gathering spot for protesters objecting the National Guard's deployment in D.C., is about to change hands. The U.S. Transportation Department says it's reclaiming control of the rail hub after Trump forced out Amtrak CEO and stationed troops across the Capitol. This comes just about one day after J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth met soldiers at Union Station. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says federal control will be formalized in September.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Described him as one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
Welcome to the Man Cave. Welcome to the Man Cave. I'm Gray Mars.
I'm 85 Slim.
I'm Heavenly.
I'm King J.
Ken Billions, what's happening?
I'm Enzo.
I'm Mia.
So basically what you guys just saw is Trump has now taken over Union Station and basically saying that the Department of Transportation has the ability to take control of it. Enzo, do you feel like that's fair?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you have National Guard troops and federal troops everywhere else in DC. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Heaven, what about you?
I think it's unnecessary, and it's crossing lines that shouldn't be crossed when it comes to military versus policing.
Well, a lot of stuff that Trump is doing seems to be affecting what voters do. So, Enzo, this is one of your favorite people. He talks about Iowa flipping blue in a deep red district where Trump won 3 times.
Fantastic news. Democrats just won a special election in the Republican state of Iowa, flipping the seat from red to blue. In this really Republican district, Iowa State Senate Special Election 1, the Democrat, Caitlin Dray, won 54.5% of the vote, or 3,978 votes, and Christopher Prosch, the Republican, won 45.5% of the vote, or 3,300 votes. And this win in this district in Iowa is incredibly significant because not only is it a flip from Republican to Democrat, but it's also a 20-point overperformance by the Democrat from 2024 when Trump won the district by 11 points. And to make it even better, the flip also ends the GOP supermajority in Iowa. They no longer have that lock. This right here is exactly why Donald Trump and the Republicans are redrawing maps. They know that the headwinds right now are not in their favor, and the only way that they can win is by cheating. But the voters spoke tonight, and they elected a Democrat.
King J, how do you feel about, I don't know if you know what happened in Iowa, but how do you feel like a red seat being flipped, basically?
I mean, obviously, it's because of these terrible policies that he continue to implement. I mean, anybody else that'll tell you anything else is obviously delusional. It's like we're watching all these signs and people are sitting here saying, oh, that's not the reason. That's not the reason. That is the reason. And if the people continue to get upset, at that point, you have to point to it being bad policy because the people are starting to feel it. So, I mean, if he continue to implement the ideas that he's doing, then, I mean, fuck it. If the Republicans cool with losing power, then let them, they can lose power, and it is what it is. I'll let them dance in circles and kumbaya, whatever the hell they want to do. But they're getting ready to lose the damn House and the Senate if they keep fucking around.
Well, the Republicans seem to be getting more voters, but then the seat was flipped, so this was kind of shocking. Ken, do you feel like the Democrats, this is going to trend that's going to continue, or is this just an anomaly?
No, I think when things go extreme, it always usually swings back the other way, equally extreme. You know what I mean? And when Trump came on the scene, he was a super polarizing dude. You know what I mean? And he had a lot of, you know, the way that he talked. And when new things become old things. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's just a regular cycle when we go from extreme to extreme. So I think that's just all this is.
What about you, Slim?
Oh man, it's all bullshit. You know, the beta male's gonna speak. They're gonna say what they gotta say. You know what I mean? It's early. My boy is only 8 months in. All that's gonna change when the time is right. We're gonna see that he the best thing popping, the best president we ever had. And everything he's doing now is solidifying it. So I'm cool with everything.
Mia, did you hear the last video?
I didn't, but it sounds like you guys were talking about Trump. Either way.
No, it was about a Democrat flipping a red seat. Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. Then I'll let you be the first person to go because Trump is accused of doing espionage in Denmark.
Breaking news. Donald Trump is being accused by Denmark of running a covert operation to try and take Greenland away from Denmark. The foreign minister of Denmark has now summoned the top U.S. diplomat after it was revealed that 3 individuals with connections to Trump were running this operation. These individuals were allegedly compiling a list of pro and anti-Trump Greenlanders, as well as trying to influence Greenland's politicians. And they were also trying to cause a strain between Denmark and Greenland as a way to try and help Trump take Greenland. You might remember back in March when Trump said he would not rule out using the U.S. military to take Greenland from Denmark. Trump's actions are beyond disgusting.
So, Mia, how do you feel about Trump going after one of our allies, trying to take their land?
I mean, I am not surprised. I mean, Greenland strategically would make sense if we were to formulate more bases there and work more with them. I mean, strategically speaking, landmass wise, it makes sense for our own national defense. I don't know why people are acting brand new about espionage. Everybody spies on everybody. I mean, everybody literally spies on everybody. Granted, I mean, to sit there and act like everybody doesn't spy is ridiculous. People are making a big deal out of nothing. I mean, we literally just caught Chinese students from the CCP spying on us in their college town. So, I mean, literally everybody spies. I don't even think it's that big of a deal.
Ken, you think it's fair that Trump got spies over there?
Did you say?
Ken or King?
Ken, I said Ken.
Yeah, for sure. This is Empire games. Everybody does this. This is ancient. Rome has spies. Babylon has spies. Persia has spies. Egypt has spies. Nubia has spies. Great Britain has spies. Japan has spies. This is what we do. This is what the movie Born Identity, Born Legacy was all about. But I will say this is very interesting. This is the first time probably in recorded history where it's very different. This is the most difficult time for empires to spread empire. It's too many cameras. It's too many things at play. Like prior nations can spread empire and the public never knew how they got that land acquisition or didn't even know what was going on. Now it is very difficult to spread empire. So that's very interesting to me.
Slim, I know you go agree with everything Trump does. So this is our ally. Is that cool? I mean, like, should our allies be doing the same thing to us?
Well, first off, that's another fear-mongering technique. That's another situation to distract you from what's really going on. Keep in mind, he was supposed to take over Gaza. We were supposed to be in chains. We were supposed to go back to slavery. You know what I mean? I'm just waiting for anything the Democrats say to stick. I'm literally waiting for one thing to stick. So this is another scenario where you can't mess with the Don, bro. You can accuse him for whatever you want. I'm to the point, it don't matter what y'all say. He in the seat. It is what it is. I'm good. All these betas always want to get him up out of there, but we here, man. We good. Let him work.
Without the Epstein list. Ooh.
See, there we go at the Epstein.
Release the list.
All right, let me ask you this, Heaven. And I got to ask you this, right?
Please ask me, please.
Because you know, Trump is the most hated from the Democratic Party, and y'all did have the key.
No, I don't like any of them.
Well, all right. Well, let's just say.
So me personally, I want all of them to go down.
All right, but all right. Would you agree that the Democrats really, really hate Trump no matter what? Would you agree with that?
I do.
Okay. Now, with that being said, the Democrats had the keys to the car for 4 years. Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you?
Do you think the Democrats are on the list?
Hold up.
But
hold up.
That's just where the conspiracy
I'm gonna let you go. I just want to make a
was
point
the
real quick.
Democrat.
I just want to make a point real quick,
list.
right? If I was in a situation where I had the information on the opposition to destroy him, why wouldn't I release it when I'm in power at the time?
Because there's
If
too
they
many
didn't want him
Democrats
to
on
win
the
the
list.
second election, isn't it possible that you release the Epstein files to destroy Donald Trump? I mean,
Because there's too
there's
many
the logic
Democrats on
there.
the
Like,
list.
you guys were
They're
in
both
power
on
for
there.
4 years.
Hey,
Didn't say
I
shit about it.
don't know about this you guys thing. I
Oh, the
wasn't
Democrats
in no power.
were in power
But
for 4
I
years.
will say, and they should have released the list.
So
but
why are
they
you
were
not
on
mad
it
at
too.
them?
We'll do a whole
I am.
episode on the list, guys. Let's give King
Oh,
J.
yeah, that'll be fun.
King J, you're on the left. Should Trump be sending spies to allies?
I mean, we could look at this whole entire presidency. It has been nothing but a whole bunch of backstabbing of our friends. That's why we are the most isolated we have ever been in our nation's history. So far as when we talk about modern day, we've never had it to the point where they don't trust the United States. These folks obviously don't trust us. They don't like. We can even look how they treat his ass when he comes across the goddamn ocean. They don't want him there, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that he is fighting foreign policy hasn't changed for years. For years. and he comes and tries to shake shit up and is causing problems, just like they was talking about Gaza. But he's not helping the problem in Gaza with all the genocide that is happening by giving these people a free check, by giving out blanks when you were just being so tough with Ukraine. But you don't want to be. You can't do two-side things, man. I could respect him more if the president said, look, I want to be a no wartime president. I'm not funding nobody and giving nobody shit. Nobody getting shit. I can respect that. But for you to say Ukraine can't get shit, but I'm still gonna give this shit to goddamn to Izzy, we know what it is. We know what it is. This man picks and chooses. That's just how he is as a president. And him backstabbing his friends, he has showed us multiple times this is who he is as a person. I wouldn't trust him if I was on the battlefield.
Okay, for sure. Enzo, so if Denmark retaliates, is that fair? Or do you feel like they should just take what Trump is doing?
I'm going to go with exactly what 85 was saying. Canada 85. This is nothing new, right? There's spies in every single nation. Regardless whatever's going on, it's only being polarized because it's Trump. It is. I mean, we tried to leak the 2016, them spying on his election campaign. Nope, went right under the rug. And it's funny that Aaron Parnas and Harry, the number 2 paid DNC bots about this, because those are the new talking points for the week with them. I agree with Greenland, to be honest with you, as a strategic part to the United States, because for years, we've known the Russians have had nuclear-capable submarines under the Arctic Circle. We know this because in 1955, we sent the United States Nautilus, the first one to go underneath the Arctic Circle, to actually combat the Russians. What about 2 years ago when the Russians sent over warships to Cuba? Why is it okay for them to send their warships over here, keep eyes on us, try to keep us at bay? But we actually tried to take our Greenland to have the territorial waters, so they're not able to do that. I'm looking at this as a national security threat. Absolutely needs to be done. Any means necessary to combat. We want to combat Russian aggression, so why are we going to fight this? We want to help Ukraine out because we want to fight. We want to fight the Russians. Okay, let's fight the Russians and take them. Let's take the land so we can keep eyes on them.
I definitely understand. But how you doing that when you rubbing elbows with them?
What are you talking about? Rubbing elbows?
Rolling red carpets out for them.
Well, how are you can't have it both ways.
I'm playing. I know, and I'm playing into what you guys want to fight Russian aggression. What I really want at the end of the day is somebody to not have a Cold War mindset and saying the Red Scare, the Red Scare, the Red Scare, and turn a blind eye to China. China is the real threat to the United States, not Russia. I'd rather have diplomatic ties with Russia so we're not at war with them, starting all these proxy wars that we've been in for the last 30 years. You guys, the Democratic Party, and a lot of people in government on the right too they're older, they're boomers, they still have the Red Scare mentality, the Cold War mentality. We need to get away from that. Because if it wasn't for the Democrats, let's call it a spade, right? Because of Clinton and NATO, we wouldn't be adversaries with Russia if Clinton and NATO exactly did what Putin asked them to do, which was bring them into NATO in the 90s. NATO is a relic of the Cold War past that is not needed in today's society, in my eyes, whatsoever. Keep the United Nations, build something better, but that's literally just perpetrating Russia's hatred for the United States still, because they can't be a part of it. That's why we're in all these wars. That's why all these proxy wars are going on. The minute we're not adversaries with them, the minute world peace can actually start to happen and combat the real threat of China.
Can I say something real
We're
quick?
not going to get China to decide with the United States. I mean, get Russia to side with the United States versus China. Do you know how crazy that sounds? When you look at both their countries' historical ties, historically,
I'm aware. But hold on, you get Russia.
China. Matter of fact, China.
But you're missing what I'm saying. You're missing what I'm saying completely, right?
I'm asking.
Yeah, now they're a part of BRICS now. But I'm saying if we would have started in the 90s, none of this would have happened. You take Russia away and befriend them and actually become diplomatic with them, they can talk to China so all this aggression doesn't go on. That's a part of diplomacy. And that's why I agree with Donald Trump's approach to diplomacy and meeting with Putin. Mind you, the first United States president to actually meet with Putin on American soil. Tell me what other president did that. I'll wait. And you want to talk about the red carpet, right? Let's talk about when Biden rolled out a red carpet with him in Finland. This is what they do for every dignitary and every president of every single nation. It's just amplified again because it's Donald Trump. And I thought it was absolutely great with the show that they put on for Putin, with the B-2 flying over and walking past the F-22s, because Putin knows he doesn't have the capabilities to take us. And that was a show of force that was absolutely needed.
Mia, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, I find it interesting. There's obviously a decent amount of media coverage over some espionage, which we know everybody does on this planet. We all spy. But America blew up Nord Stream, resulting in tens of thousands of Europeans freezing to death and starving to death because they didn't have any fuel. And we didn't make a big deal of that. America, it's a fact. We blew up Nord Stream and then lied about it on the center stage, resulting in tens of thousands of Europeans dying. And it was like, oh, Biden's in office. It's okay. We're just going to kill tens of thousands of people. No big deal, but we're worried about a couple people that are sloppy at espionage. It's just crazy to me what the mainstream media decides to glorify. It was way worse that we shot Nord Stream and murdered unnecessarily Europeans who didn't deserve that, causing massive inflation for 2 years in a row out there. And then at the same time, we decreased our output to them because we wanted to be the Green New Deal. So they got fucked once we blew up Nord Stream. So they legitimately died and froze to death. But we're not going to talk about that. We're worried about espionage. I find that funny.
Well, for sure. And it's a very serious topic tonight, so we'll get into it early. So I'll just play the news clip.
Me that, I'm limited as to exactly what I know, but so we know people. I have friends that know people who have been shot. So
the survivor who described the wood being blown around them.
What's that now?
The survivor who described the wood being kind of blown off around them.
Yep.
Remind me how you know them.
So I didn't know him.
Okay.
This gentleman goes to morning mass every day of the week, and he usually goes to the Basilica.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'm going to play another one. My bad. What is that?
Earlier today, just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy. Minneapolis police officers responded to a report of a shooting at a mass that was happening at the Annunciation Roman Catholic Church on the block behind me. This worship service was marking the first week of school for children that are attending the Annunciation Catholic School. During the mass, a gunman approached on the outside on the side of the building and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church for children is absolutely incomprehensible. Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy. As we begin the difficult path of healing, I want the community to know this, that even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you.
Welcome, Doc. A mass shooting on the first day of school. Why does this keep happening in America?
I don't want to go first because I got a controversial take, so I want to go later on. I just want to know, maybe we should send a National Guard. It don't look like the police can handle it.
Okay. King J, what you think?
Doc, you funny as hell, bro. And I'm gonna say this. It's the usual suspects. It's the usual demographic. For some reason, I don't know why that's their thing, but it is. This is something that we need to look at in America, such as making sure people are mentally healthy to be owning weapons. Some, what I would say, common sense laws to make sure that deranged folks aren't having weapons to unalive groups of children. This is stuff that we need to actually sit down and be adults about in the room. There's no reason why anybody in the American population needs a weapon that can take out 150 people in less than 2 minutes. We don't need that. A civilian doesn't need access to that type of weapon. So I think stuff like this is gonna continue to happen in America because we refuse to address mental health issues and common sense gun laws. Seriously. And it's gonna be this way until somebody gets to the point to where there's a powerful enough person say, I can't do this anymore. I can't lose another child. But until one of them loses their child that has power, it's gonna continue like this. But I promise you, let the wrong child go from this. They will fucking snatch those weapons up quicker than you could say, hey.
Well, you said the usual suspect, so as actually a Republican that may agree with you, Trey Gowdy, you guys might be shocked at what he said.
Our system is reactive. Something bad happens, we react to it. And what people are crying for now is how can we prevent this? How can we stop it? And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children. I mean, how many school shootings does it take before we're going to have a conversation about keeping firearms out? It's always a young white male, almost always. I mean, did anyone this morning think, I wonder if that was a female? Did any of y'all think that? I mean, there's been one school shooting involving a female. One. Yeah, Tennessee. But other than that, it is usually young white male.
Enzo, Trey Gowdy's a commentator on Fox News. He's a Republican. MAG is extremely upset with him saying that it's always white males. Do you feel like he was wrong for saying that?
100% he was wrong for saying that because, I mean, it's ironic that tonight we're talking about this, right? And last night, your little buddy, King J, Miss Trackstar over there wanted to bring up trans people, right? The shooter was trans. Now that it was a white person, they want to say that they were male. But I mean, okay, so why don't we actually look at the real facts? They identified as a woman. They went by the name Robin for the longest time. I looked into this extensively. So yeah, it is the usual suspect. It's the Democrats, and let's look at what was written on the pews or the guns themselves, right? Was kill Donald Trump for the children. 6 million wasn't enough. Let's talk about that, right? Because from the left, right, everyone wants to sit here and say, well, Donald Trump and this administration are Christian nationalists, that they're helping out slaughter civilians in Gaza. I mean, part of that's true. Part of that's true. Donald Trump's administration is not a Christian nationalist movement whatsoever. I mean, just because they're Christian and they're white doesn't make them Christian nationalists. I mean, it's very rich that we want to sit here and say the usual suspects. And I'm sorry, like, I'm just gonna, your take really just annoyed the living shit out of me, right? You want to say we need to take away the pews, that people shouldn't have these. That's our fundamental right as the Second Amendment. The real issue in the United States, and it's very, very easy for everybody to say, take away the guns, take away the guns, take away the guns. No, address the real issue. Address lobbying and big pharma in our government. Get these people the mental health that they deserve, not take away my rights to have whatever I want under the Second Amendment. Not that, because I'm somebody who actually goes to therapy every single week for the issues that I have. I went out of my way to go do that, and stop stigmatizing the people that actually have issues and embrace it and say, okay, you have these issues, let's get you the help. Let's get you the help, and not celebrate a mental illness and be like, it's okay to be different. Here's all these medicine that you can go on so you can transition yourself, so you can feel better about yourself. But here we are. I literally looked up the manifesto for this person. I have the manifesto sitting right here in front of me, stating that they were depressed for so many years, that they were suicidal for so many years. And that was the real issue behind all of this. And then again,
I'm going to play that. But I want to play basically somebody that pretty much completely agrees with you, Enzo.
They can't groom your children, they will kill them. The pedophiles that hide under the LGBTQ flag are the next mass shooters, which is why we need to reclassify them as a terrorist organization. Christians are being hunted and killed, and now multiple kids in a Christian school are dead. And there is a reason why they're keeping the identity of the shooter a secret. The Aberdeen school shooter, trans. The Denver school shooter, trans. The Nashville school shooter, trans. And I can go on and on. This is a direct attack on Christianity. So to all of the transgender terrorists.
Slim, you're very much, with your thought process, how do you feel about the shooter being trans?
I'm not surprised, man. King J, you're right. The usual suspects. That's just what it is, man. And
yeah, it's right. The white demographic.
No, the Democrat.
I'm making this about race.
You want to say?
No, it is. It's very much you.
No. You want
hold
on. No. I'm gonna say this as the white man because I'm sick and tired of your fucking takes, bro.
Yeah,
you a racist motherfucker, right? You want to blame white people for fucking everything when you're the racist over here.
Y'all don't like
stop your shit.
Call y'all out about y'all shit.
No, because you want to group every right. You want to group every white person and say they fucking racist when you don't know shit. You ignorant motherfucker.
Y'all interrupted Slim though. Y'all didn't let Slim go. Let Slim go.
I don't give a fuck.
Well, finish your tape.
At the end of the day, man. All right, check it, yo. This shit getting spicy. But yo, like I said, man, it's the usual suspects. It's the Democrats. You running around saying you hate Trump. Things like that. This is what we're dealing with now. You ain't gonna never catch no conservative person on that level, man. And it's so weird how the mental illness is coming from the left the majority of the time. It's the emotional reactions. It's all of that stuff for no reason. Like, you guys don't even want to be American sometimes. So I'm not surprised that this is happening, because now you're exposing yourselves. You're basically showing the conservative everything they thought about you, going after children, going after Christianity, not believing in God. It's all right there. I'm good.
Well, before everybody else goes, I'm going to let a guy say from the left how he feels about people saying that it's trans people.
I don't see anybody talking about this, so I'm personally going to come out and get ahead of this before Democrats, leftists, progressives, liberals, anybody who's not part of the MAGA cult is caught on their heels, because right now MAGA traitors are taking social media, quickly trying to deflect and distract the American people away from the real issue, which is guns. They're trying to pin what happened in Minneapolis as a trans issue. See, if we didn't allow trans people to exist, this never would have happened. When the real issue is guns. The real issue is people murdering other people with guns that are way too easy to buy. It should not be easier for somebody to get a gun than it is to get your driver's license. So if you believe this person was sick, twisted, demented, which they are, they literally took the lives of children, then why was it easier for them to buy a gun than it would be to get a driver's license? Why wouldn't they have to do a simple background check? Why wouldn't they have to go through a process to make sure that they are capable of owning such a weapon? But Republicans don't want to talk about that part. They don't want to talk about the fact that they are completely compromised by the NRA. They are completely okay with these things happening when it's a trans person that maybe hated Christians that did this crime today. But any other time, it's perfectly acceptable for them.
Mia, what do you think about the left saying that it's the guns? I know you're pro two-way, so what's your take?
I mean, guns cannot load themselves. They can't adjust their clips. They can't shoot themselves. There has to be somebody, a human, pulling the trigger. There needs to be a human loading the clip. There needs to be a human cocking it back. There needs to be human interaction there. To blame it on the guns takes away from the fact that you need to blame it on the humans. I mean, we have a mental health crisis in the United States. If we don't fix it, this is going to continue to happen. I can understand wanting more safeguards, wanting certain weapons to not be able to be in production for the masses to have. I can absolutely understand that. And I can also understand that it is more difficult to get your ID. I got my real ID this year so I could fly, and it is more difficult to get your real ID than it was for me to buy my Christmas present, which was a new shotgun for myself. It was easier to get the new shotgun than it was to get the real ID. So, I mean, in essence, I can understand wanting a few more safeguards, but at the same time, it's like the issue isn't the gun. The issue is the person, and we need to fix the person. They are the ones holding the guns. England has issues with violence as well. They just stab each other. You know why? Because they don't have guns. But if they had guns, they'd be shooting each other. That's a simple fact. I mean, mentally ill people do crazy stuff. They will drive their vans into the middle of a festival because they're crazy. It doesn't matter. Crazy is crazy. They will use any means necessary to exact whatever manifesto they have in their head. People need to stop blaming the guns and start blaming the people, and we need to get them the help that they need.
Well, I'm gonna
Hold
play
on.
this.
Let me go with my take now. Let me go with my take now, bro.
Go ahead.
It is the same demographic when it is just bland, all-out school shootings. And my problem right now is that when we talked about inner city crime, when we talked about the south side of Chicago, when we talked about these low socioeconomic neighborhoods in the Black community, we talked about tough on crime. We talked about all of these things. These are those same young boys who need that mental help that nobody mentioned before. When we talked about inner city crime, no one got up here and mentioned mental health for these young kids that come from poverty-stricken backgrounds, mothers smoking dope, anything going on. But when we take it out and we somewhere in Minnesota, when we at Marjorie Stone Douglas, when we got a kid who his friends ain't being nice to him and patting him on the back, and he randomly goes into a school and enacts violence, he needs mental help. These same kids in these same neighborhoods in inner city, they don't need the National Guard. Send the National Guard to Minnesota. The Minnesota police didn't stop crime. Marjorie Stone Douglas still got shot up. The police in Florida ain't stopping crime, but we sending crime into these Black communities, and we over-police these communities. We send the National Guard into these communities. Why we can't send the National Guard into these same communities and have them on standby so that we can keep these kids alive, so that we can make sure these schools and churches don't get shot up? But we'll send them down on the southeast side of Washington, D.C., where the young brothers are, Ain't nobody going out there with no mental health for them. Nobody said mental health. Nobody said these young kids from the black and brown communities that's impoverished have mental health issues as well. He don't know no different. He ain't got no resources. When we did it then, we said, oh, we need to be tough on crime. We need to be tough on that same crime. We need to police those same streets. We need to send a National Guard out there, out in the road. We need to have them on the farms. We need to have them out there on the rodeo. We need to have them out there doing all the same stuff, and we need to have them harassing these same people and making sure that their guns is legal, making sure that they're not going to shoot it up. And that ain't a black or white thing, but that's how the demographic is broken down. No one says mental health when a young black boy realizes that he's just in a fucked up situation and my community might be against me, or I'm in a bad place. The same way that dude went out and shot something, he might go out and shoot something. And they need that same mental health.
Okay, I want to play the stuff that Enzo was talking about by the guy's manifesto and everything. So here's what they found.
Now know what this monster looks like, who took the lives of 2 children and injured 17 others at a grade school in
Can we
Minneapolis.
admit that this
Suspect was
person was
identified as
ugly?
Robin
Are we allowed to
Westman,
say
trans
that? I
man
know they're
who, before
deceased,
doing
but this man was
released multiple
ugly.
videos on
Ugly,
social
ugly,
media.
ugly.
They showed his
Judgmental, but I
weapons and
mean, you
ammunition
don't have a
laid across his
conventionally
room
attractive
with messages written on every single
Oh my
word.
God.
Some of them said
I know
things
he
like,
dead,
"Where
but
is
I
your
mean,
God?"
he's
And
ugly.
others said things like this. Also had a YouTube channel named Robin
But you look
W, which
lovely
has since
today.
been deleted, and that contained several videos of his guns, a
Oh man, I'm
manifesto
going
in
now.
Russian and English, as well as a map of the Annunciation Church. In his alleged manifesto, he talks about being depressed, being sick, and thanking his friends and family for being there for him and saying, "I want to go out on my own means." And in the end, he even says, "Pray for the victims and their families." Rest in peace to those poor children who lost their lives, and prayers to everyone affected by this. And as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
Ken, how do you feel about saying the manifesto? Do you feel like what everybody else is saying is mental health? What's your take?
A couple things, like you forget that in all the conversation, you forget that some babies died, right? So for one, it's very interesting how people always have a manifesto, always, right? So my take is a little different on this. MK Ultra was an illegal human experimentation program designed and undertaken by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency to develop procedures and identify drugs that could be used during interrogations to weaken individuals and force confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture. We've seen Bucky in the Winter Soldier movie, right? That a person is able to be activated by language. Now we'll see something in the movies and then go out in real time and see the same exact thing, and then it'll become a Republican Democrat conversation. Oh no, it's the trans. No, it's a white man. No. We'll literally see the same exact thing happen on a movie, right? And then go in real time and never once have it through our minds that is it possible that pharmaceutical companies test drugs on people and release them to the public? Is that possible? Because one thing for sure, two things for certain, we always get divisive. Every single time something happens, we never question the pharmaceutical companies. We never look at the government. One thing we do though, is we turn on ourselves every single time. It's the white man. No, it's the white man. No, it's trans. No, it's the Democrats. No, it's the Republicans, right? But is it, we know that pharmaceutical companies test drugs on people, right? But that's too much conspiracy theory. But what we are open to doing is getting very tribal. Yo, babies died. And there's no question, there's no conversation of the babies and the fact that there's always a manifesto and it always sways the public. We always got to stay in student mode, yo. Student mode, meaning let me investigate this on my own, not based on what the media is saying or anything, right? We know governments have their own programs. We know pharmaceutical companies test drugs on people. These people are assets that get activated to go do certain behavior. I'm never going to go against the American public. I'm always going to question the state. I'm always going to question corporations. I'm always going to question the government first before I turn on my American people.
For sure. So, Heaven, I know we talked about this earlier, but what I found out was that this young man name was Robert, and as a minor transitioned, and his mother worked at the school where he went and did this at. And then he wrote the stuff that killed Donald Trump on the weapons and things like this. Do you feel like this was politically motivated?
I think that it's made to look politically motivated. I think that it is made to. We all know there's an attack on LGBTQIA plus community in general. I'm not debating anybody's right to do or not do whatever they want. That's not the topic for me. Anytime there's a manifesto, I'm like, wait a minute, that raises red flags.
Right.
It raises red flags for me. I know that it's been an agenda, I'm sure, for a long time to try to get weapons out of Americans' hands. And I know there's an agenda against the very small population of trans people in America. So I don't know.
Well, mostly everybody said mental health. So let's look at the actual statistics.
Persons diagnosed with mental illness are actually far more likely to be the victims of violence, not the perpetrators of violence. And that they're far more likely, if they're involved in a violent act, to be shot by someone else rather than to be the shooters. And so we dealt with the complicated reasons of why was it? Why was it that the reality of what's happening in the United States is turned on its head in the aftermath of these, again, horrific mass shootings? We average about 32,000 shootings a year in this country on average over the last 15, 20 years. And this is everything from homicides to suicides to assaults. And what we found was that there were a number of factors that are far more likely to be associated with shootings than our mental illness. Substance use at the time of an emotionally charged conflict is very indicative. The presence of a firearm, of course, in cases of suicide, increases the risk of a fatal suicide. A past history of violence is a much greater indicator than is mental illness for violence. And the one we found the most interesting was actually knowing someone is a risk factor, in that about 85% of shootings in this country happen within social networks. So you're far more likely to be shot by your neighbor or your cousin or your disgruntled brother-in-law or something like that than you are by some crazed stranger. I'm not saying in any way that people shouldn't have guns. I think that there's a constitutional right to bear arms. But I would say that the rhetoric whereby people are accumulating guns in the present day has a lot to do with this fear of the unknown stranger. Somebody could come attack us, we need to protect ourselves. And I think that the gun discourse perpetuates some crazy person is going to come shoot you. But if you actually look at the research, it's not the crazy person necessarily that you have to fear. You're far more likely to be shot by somebody you know. We should set our gun policies based on the everyday shootings, not on the sensational shootings, because there, I believe, we'll get far more traction in preventing gun crime. The mentally ill across the board are about 60 to 120% more likely than the average person to be the victims of violent crime, not the perpetrators of violent crime. And of course that makes sense when you think that people with mental illness, especially severe mental illness, often they're homeless or they're talking to themselves or they appear odd in a certain kind of way. They become targets. Our argument in the paper in part is that we need to pay much more attention to mental health systems. How do people get care? Do they have health insurance? Is there follow-up? Is there medication available to them? Other issues like that. So in a way, it was a failure of the system often that just became represented as a failure of the individual.
So Ken, you were talking about like drugs and stuff like that. And that's what the guy said, that sometimes it's drugs that cause this. So you hearing that it's more likely that someone with a mental health issue actually be a victim than the actual perpetrator. Do you feel like that is true?
I'm not sure. I don't really know how you measure that, because I'm I'm with Doc. You know, a lot of young boys with a pistol, like, yo, food could cause mental illness, right? One thing they never do, they always talk about Chicago. They never talk about in the autopsy what the kid had to eat. That affects your behavior. It's not just ecstasy pills. It's not just coke, right? A certain kind of diet also affects your behavior. Eating a lot of blood, eating a lot of starch. You know what I'm saying? They never actually do like real research and examination on a 16, 17, 18-year-old brain boy that is from the projects in Chicago on psychologically how he got to the place that he got. It's lead in the water. It's a crazy diet. We already know that certain sounds trigger people, certain smells trigger people. We don't be in student mode. So we look at a situation and be like, oh, crazy, dumb, thug. You don't got a father in that. Man, it's way deeper than that. There's a science to behavior. We can look at the color red and that shit make you hungry. There's a science to this shit. So it's not just, oh, mental illness. Okay, a lot goes into that. These environments, they live by oil refineries in the Bay Area. You don't know what that's doing to the people. People react based off their environment. And it's not just income. It's also based on nature, things that's in the water and things that they're eating.
For sure, Doc, you were saying a lot about mental health and stuff like that. So do you feel like with the statistics that there can be an actual science to solve these issues?
I don't know if it's a science to solve these issues. I just want it to be a conversation both ways. I think that's my biggest thing, is that these young men in these urban environments are suffering from mental illnesses as well. Like, if you've been there, you know, a lot of these kids, you know, have dropped out of school due to suffering through these mental illnesses and things. A lot of these people are all suffering through mental illness. Some of these people who go out and do these crimes, they just not wrapped too tight. You know what I mean? And that's bilateral, black, white. And I just want the conversation to be the same when the environment changes. I don't want the environment to change the conversation. The conversation is mental illness, even when you go to the South Side of Chicago or when you go to Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Where they had a crack problem, where crack existed. People are descendants of crack cocaine. Yeah. That is in people's blood.
Yeah, these kids are crack baby. Kids are growing up, you know, they're growing up in these mothers are on drugs, and these kids are coming out and they're having issues. They, you know, and that's the same in every community. And that's I think that's my biggest thing, is I don't want that to say he looks a certain way, he's wearing a do-rag and his pants are baggy, so he's not suffering from a mental illness. It's just gangs.
Can I just say also on that, just interject real quick, all of our children in every single school, because they go through these shooter drills, as soon as they go into school, they are in fight or flight. So why we have kids acting out in school, why they're not getting the education and retaining the information, why they're not comprehending things, why there's so many outbursts with these young kids, why you see so many more young kids out on the street doing things they don't need to be doing. They are in fight or flight every time they enter that building, and anybody that's been deployed can tell you that.
And I see Nora said they're allowing kids to transition as young as 12. Chicago and Minnesota, totally different places. Chicago and Minnesota are totally different places. They are letting kids transition at 12. That's not the only mental illness, though. There's so many other things that can be wrong with these kids that isn't on the outside. A mental illness isn't something that's shown on the outside. It isn't something you just can see. And letting kids transition at 12 is crazy.
Yeah. They're very socialists out there in Minnesota. I've been to Minnesota a few times.
Crazy work.
Well,
but
I mean, my biggest thing is I'm so happy that Ken mentioned MK Ultra and just that whole program and how pharmaceuticals and environment triggers and so on and so forth. Because one of the most noted subjects of MK Ultra, because back then the CIA was going into prisons because they could go into prisons because people keep forgetting about prisoners and prisons. So they used to go into prisons and jails, county jails, whatever, and run these experiments because, when you're in prison, you're basically federal property until you're out. And one of the most notable ones was Marilyn Manson. And we know how that ended. He started a cult. They ended up unaliving an actress and and 2 other people. And they used psychedelics, so pharmaceutical drug therapy. And then he also used music therapy in ways as well. And he had a manifesto as well that had to do based off of the Beatles, like White Album or something like that. So there's it goes, I mean, Ken's onto something, because a lot of these things are all the same. It's been like 60 years, but they all keep being the same.
And I think it's lost on people that they don't realize when these kids from these environments, when they go to school and they're a little bit bad or a little bit agitated, they force your mother to take you to see somebody to get the Adderall or the Ritalin or whatever they think they got. These dampeners they got to give you to bring you down and control you and have you in some sort. So these kids are taking drugs and putting things in their body as well at a very young age. I know a cousin who they wanted him to take it as early as 10 years old. You know, his mother not being, damn, how I put this. Well, she ain't that smart. You know what I'm saying? She don't know no better. You know what I'm saying? Because she just know my kid got to go to school. And if this what he got to take to go to school, you know what I mean? I'm going to give it to him. You know, so I think all of that goes into it, you know.
For sure. So, Slim, 55% of suicides are by a firearm. Now, this person took their own life. So, like, if they didn't have access to a firearm, they could have took their own life in another way. So, do you feel like the firearm played a key, or that they were already suicidal? Some people just say, you know what, I'm gonna take some people with me. You muted.
My bad. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's that whole gun control mindset, man. Listen, you know, just like Nia said, it's the people that kill people. It's not the guns. Having the gun, having possession of a gun is one thing. Utilizing the gun the wrong way is another. And I wanna let you guys know something, man. It's already illegal to unalive someone. Already. So if you put a law out to say, okay, you can't use guns, or we're going to do this if you have a gun, the only person that's still going to have guns are the same criminals that's unaliving people. And what happens is the citizens like you and I become vulnerable to those criminals. So it's a big myth on getting rid of the guns. You can't blame the gun. And I want to get back at Doc, and I'm going to disagree with Doc when he's basically saying that the mental health issue strays from the hood. And basically when people say, you know, the mass shootings happen, it should be the same energy. That's basically what Doc is saying. But what I'm saying is this: the National Guard is not coming in just to come in. When we talk about the South Side of Chicago, when we talk about these urban areas, this is a consistent thing. These young ends know what they doing. They going to school with the Draco. They competing with the slugs. They got the switches. This is consistent. So yeah, it's unfortunate that these children passed away. Number one, no mass shooting should happen anywhere. No shooting should happen, period. But when you look at consistency as opposed to something that happens very rarely, we can blame it on the usual suspects, but it doesn't happen consistently.
Would you consider that a more densely populated area would have more mentally ill people in it?
No.
And Slim,
because I know where I'm from.
Slim, what's mentally ill people there? I've been in New York. Everybody walking down the street is mentally ill in New York City.
Slim, what's your wow. You said they know what they're doing. What's your evidence? Okay, so from a psychological perspective, what is your evidence that tells you that they know what they're doing? What's the evidence?
It's not really evidence. It's like, all right, if you know what'll happen, like if you walking down the street and somebody come in the dark and they stick you up, you ain't gonna say, yo, brother, it's a mental thing. Let me talk to you. You know what it is. They know what it is. You know what it is. It's time to get busy or it's time to lay down.
So you
There's
come
no
from that.
in between.
You come from that, so you accept that somebody doing that.
No,
You don't
I
think that's
don't
a
accept
mental
it. I
illness
don't
to go
accept
out
it.
there? You don't think
I don't
somebody's
accept
mentally
it, Doc.
unstable to go out there?
What I'm saying is I don't justify it, and I don't have no excuses. There's no way I can make an excuse for a person that thinks like that. I can't make that excuse. You know what you're doing.
You made an excuse for somebody who went to a church and shot
No,
children.
I didn't make an excuse for
you
him.
Said you said it was a mental problem. You said it
No.
too. You co-signed it.
No.
You said it's a mental
what I'm saying
issue.
is
You
mental.
You think he didn't know when he went up there to that church that it was wrong to shoot in there and kill children?
When someone is writing,
that's a natural human thing. It ain't no way that person didn't know as well.
No.
They knew the same way. All I'm saying is everybody knows that's why it's a mental illness, because they did it.
I would believe the MK Ultra before the mental illness.
But the MK Ultra is the mental illness.
When they going out there assassinating children and shit, that's crazy.
No, but no, I'm saying
majority of like fluoride is banned.
Yeah,
but it's in our drinking water. But it's banned in
the-
majority of countries. A lot of the things that, like Ken was saying, that we ingest, everything that we put on our skin, the skin is the biggest organ in your body. So that's why a lot of these products that are given to us, the ones that we have chemicals on them that actually mess with the endocrine receptors in your body.
All right, I'm gonna play all these
a lot of
kids
issues
and all these gangs unaliving these people, innocent people. We could say it's cool. It's a mental illness. They all just need help.
Hold on, Slim. I'm gonna play. Let the kid talk, and then I'm gonna let Enzo go because he didn't get a chance to go. And basically, we didn't let the kids speak their own story.
So I was just at church, and I heard something like really loud, like I thought it was fireworks in the church, and then I saw the shooting, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. And so a teacher led me downstairs to like the preschool classroom, and so I went there, and me and my friend Cece were just praying. I was just like praying if everybody could be safe and nobody would do this again.
Enzo, you're Catholic, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this happening at a Catholic school?
I think it doesn't matter if it happened at a Catholic school or a Jewish synagogue or any place of worship. What happened today is absolutely a tragedy. Doesn't matter who it was or what religion. I feel worse for the children that survived it, honestly. That's the biggest thing, because they're gonna grow up. They're gonna remember what happened. They're always gonna get stuck with that. That's the biggest thing that I always think about.
Says the children of Gaza as well. So.
Yeah. For sure. Great show, guys. Let's get to the final thoughts. Ken, I'll let you go first.
Well, it's very interesting that these people leave a manifesto and they're super crazy, but they never really take it to the police station. It's always like key things, movie theaters, schools, stuff like that. But they never really take it to like, you know what, every now and then they'll hit a politician or whatever, but they never really take it to like power structures. You know what I'm saying? So it's always schools and babies and stuff. Look, I pretty much experimented on every drug on the street. And I could tell you that if I was to use government drugs, they change your state, right? So it brings out things in you that you'll typically suppress. You know what I mean? And then I think with government drugs, the way they're able to wire, and different pharmaceutical companies, the way they're able to wire, I think we need to go a little deeper in our analysis on things, because we don't ever consider that this is from the state. You know what I mean? Well, it happens too much for it to be a coincidence. So we always have to stay as scientists of like, wait, let me not give my first response. What am I looking at right here? What is this? And look at the details. And typically it's never the first response we're going to give. You look at the situation, assess it, turn the TV off, right? And then follow the breadcrumbs. There's always a manifesto. It's always in school. All of a sudden, it always turns into politics. And it's never what we wouldn't consider. If there is a devil, it's your government. We never look there, always look there, so we can have more compassion for each other.
For sure. Mia, what's your final thoughts?
First and foremost, I want to say just how sad I am and sending thoughts and prayers to everybody out in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. What happened was despicable, is terrible, and I hope all of those kids are able to recover, and hopefully we don't lose any more children. And if you haven't liked or subscribed, please like the live and please subscribe to all of us. All of us have our handles, so you can follow us specifically on TikTok for me and X, but definitely please do follow the new party and subscribe to us so you can see us. We're here almost every night. And this situation feels like a false flag. So I really feel like Ken is onto something. The situation really does feel like a false flag event. It's just very convenient that it happened the way it did. Ken brought up the manifesto, and it seems to be a trans person, allegedly. It just seems to tick so many boxes, and it just seems to come at a time where we have the midterms coming up, the DNC is struggling. It just seems super, super, super convenient, and it checks a lot of boxes. So I would implore everybody to, if you don't know what a false flag is, you need to look up the definition of a false flag and just think outside the box.
For sure. Doc, what's your final thoughts?
Man, it's a tragedy what happened. I wish those families peace while they're recovering. Children in every community in this country, in America, should not have to worry about losing their life going to do an ordinary task throughout the day, going to school, walking home, playing on the park. Children from every community in America should be safe. And I think that's something that we just have to keep working towards, as well as I'm a Second Amendment advocate, and I think making these laws harder only make them harder for law-abiding citizens. That's also something I want people to keep in the front of their mind. We have to get people help, make sure people who are not supposed to have guns don't have guns, and I just wish everybody, peace on that journey of grieving, because I know it's going to be a long road.
For sure. Slim, your final thoughts?
Oh man, my condolences goes out to the children of the loved ones who lost their lives. That's a real tragedy, man. But I'm gonna piggyback on Doc. Yeah, children should not be losing their lives, man. No one should be losing their lives, especially kids, man. So that's a real deep situation. And I guess that's why we got the National Guard coming in, so we can all be safe, But with that being said, man, great show, new party. The way the whole team is growing, I love it. So peace.
Most definitely. Enzo, what's your final thoughts?
So I mean, this was a very good show. We talked about a lot. Ultimately, like everybody was saying, condolences to the family, and I wish for the absolute best of the children that were affected, that had to live through that and see everything that happened. Mental illness in the United States is a big, big issue. That's what we need to be focusing on, instead of big pharma getting lifetime customers and coming up with products that are a one size fits all, but they don't know what the side effects are going to be for everybody. Really invest the money into free mental health centers. That would help everybody significantly, because not everybody's fortunate enough or has good insurance, regardless if you work or even if you're on Medicaid or any of that, to get these services. That's the one thing I don't agree with a lot of social programs, but that'd be something that I would 100% advocate for. Everybody needs help. Doesn't matter what walk of life you're from. Everybody needs it at some point.
For sure. Heaven, your final thoughts?
Saving me, those are the last things. My thoughts and prayers go to the families. But also, keep your eyes open, pay attention, keep your head on a swivel, because we're all unwell here. And in one way or another, we're all unwell and no one's looking out for us. So we need to start looking out for each other.
Nice. If you're watching right now, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to know we go live. My thoughts are basically what everybody else says. Thoughts and prayers out to the families. This is a tragic situation, especially in a place of worship. We do this every Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. We've started doing a 12 p.m. show. So if you on your lunch at work, you need something to watch, you need to pass your time, come on, and we'll be talking about all types of topics. I don't know what we'll be talking about now, but we'll definitely bring something that'll be interesting. Like we always say, man cave.